This is how you make $12,000 appear in your life this year without earning one extra dollar. Not a raise, not a side hustle, just making the money you already have go further, and that 12 grand is the number that changes everything. I want to be straight with you before we go any further. I've lived on $900 a month take-home pay in a studio apartment I split with a roommate. I've lived on $4,000 a month feeling richer than I did on $6,000. And right now, I run my money on a system that lets me save more in dollars than I used to earn in a month. And none of that came from some genius investment. It came from figuring out how to make every dollar act like $1.50. That's the skill nobody teaches you, and it's the one we're doing today. Here's why this number matters specifically. $12,000 a year is $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month is the difference between I hope nothing breaks this month and something broke, no big deal. It's the difference between watching your credit card balance with a knot in your stomach and not thinking about it at all. It's not retirement money. It's not quit your job money. Let's be honest about that. But it is stop being controlled by your bank account money, and that's worth more than people give it credit for, right? And here's the urgency piece, okay? Every month you don't fix, this is a month of money leaking out of a bucket with a hole in it. Doesn't matter how much water you pour in if the hole's still there. Fix the hole now, and every dollar you earn for the rest of your life works harder. But I don't care if you're making $28,000 a year or $280,000 a year. This works the same way, and it's never too late to patch the bucket. Nobody's behind here. Today, I'm giving you 7 steps. No fluff, no just make a budget nonsense, no vague garbage about lattes. Concrete moves, real numbers, the stuff I actually did and still do. Before we get into it, drop your current monthly burn rate in the comments. Just the number, whatever it is. $800 a month, $8,000 a month, doesn't matter. No right or wrong answer here. I just want you to say it out loud to yourself, because most people have never actually written that number down, and you can't fix a leak you can't see. Alright, step 1. Find your real number before you touch a single expense. Most people try to cut spending without knowing what they're actually spending, and that's like trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale. You need your actual burn rate, not what you think it is, the real one. Pull the last 2 months of bank and card statements and add up every single outflow. I did this for the first time when I was 24 and found out I was spending around $340 a month on food delivery apps alone. I thought it was maybe $100. That gap between what you think and what's real, that's where the money's hiding. Give yourself 1 evening, 2 hours max, and get the real number. This isn't the fun step, but it's the one that makes every other step possible. Step 2. Kill your subscriptions with a hard rule, not a soft one. Here's the soft rule everybody uses and it doesn't work. I'll cancel the ones I don't use. You won't. You'll look at the list, feel a flicker of guilt, and close the tab. Here's the hard rule instead. Cancel everything, all of it, every subscription. Every single one. Today, then, over the next 30 days, only resubscribe to something the moment you genuinely miss it and are willing to pull out your card again for it. I did this a few years back and had 11 active subscriptions. I resubscribed to 3. The other 8 were about $91 a month I was paying for things I forgot existed. That's over $1,000 a year from one afternoon of ruthlessness. Step 3. Renegotiate your 3 biggest fixed costs every single year on purpose. Insurance, phone plan, internet. These companies bank on the fact that you'll never call and ask for a better deal. I call mine every 12 months, no exceptions, calendar reminder and everything. Last time I called my car insurance, I said one sentence, I'm shopping other providers, what can you do for me? And my rate dropped $42 a month. $42 for a phone call that took 14 minutes. Do the math on that hourly rate. Same thing with internet. I called, mentioned a competitor's promo, and got $20 knocked off instantly. No haggling, no supervisor, nothing dramatic. This is free money that companies are just hoping you're too lazy to ask for. Step 4. Fix your biggest expense, not your smallest one. This is where people mess up constantly. They cut coffee and leave the actual problem alone. For most people, the actual problem is housing or a car payment, and those 2 things alone can be 40-50% of take-home pay. If your car payment is $600 a month on a vehicle worth 30 grand, that's not a small leak. That's the main pipe. I drove a $3,000 Honda Civic for 4 straight years while I was building things up. Paid cash, no payment. Ugly as sin, ran perfectly. That single decision was worth more than every other frugal habit I had combined. Because it wasn't nickel and diming, it was removing a $500 or $600 monthly obligation entirely. If housing's the issue, that might mean a roommate for a year, or moving 15 minutes further out where rent drops $300-$400. This step is temporary, not forever. 12 to 18 months of an uncomfortable housing or transportation setup while you rebuild your base. That's the deal, not a life sentence. Now, quick aside, because this is the step where people get tempted by shortcuts. Somebody in your feed is going to tell you the answer is day trading your way to extra income, or that you should start a get-rich flipping thrift store finds business. Skip it. Something like 90% of active day traders lose money over time. That's not a moral judgment, that's just the math of the game. And flipping content as a business model works for approximately nobody at scale unless you're already good at running a business, which is a different skill than the one we're building today. Stretching money isn't glamorous, it's math and discipline. That's the whole trick. Step 5. Automate the gap the second it opens up. Once you've done steps 1 through 4, you're going to have new breathing room. Call it $300, $500, $800 a month depending on your situation. Here's the mistake almost everybody makes. They let that money sit in checking and it evaporates into nothing over the next 60 days. No idea where it went. The second you find that gap, automate a transfer out of checking the day your paycheck hits into savings, into an investment account, wherever, just out of reach. I run mine on autopilot. The money's gone before I ever see it sitting there tempting me. Out of sight actually is out of mind, and it's the only reason this stuff sticks past month 1. This next part I want to mention once, because some of you asking me this stuff in the comments need more than a video can give you. If you want a second set of eyes actually looking at your specific numbers instead of general advice like this, that's the kind of thing I work through with people one-on-one. Links below if you want to apply and see if it's a good fit. No pressure, most of you don't need it. This video will get you most of the way there on its own. Just putting it out there for the people who do. Step 6. Buy your way out of small time wasters that are secretly costing you money. This one sounds backwards in a video about saving, but stay with me. There's a difference between spending on convenience and spending on comfort. Comfort spending, the upgraded car, the bigger apartment than you need, the daily takeout, that's the stuff we're cutting. Time waster spending is different. It's the $35 a month you spend on grocery pickup that saves you 3 hours a week you could spend picking up a side gig or learning a skill that pays you back tenfold. I spend money on this on purpose. Time you get back has to go somewhere productive for this to work, though, if you're just using the saved hours to scroll. Skip this step entirely, it's not for you yet. Step 7, and this is the hardest one, no question. Don't let the extra money upgrade your life the second it shows up. Here's what happens to almost everybody. The moment they find an extra $1,000 a month, within about 6 months, they've got a nicer car, a bigger apartment, and somehow they're right back to zero spare cash. Except now their baseline burn rate is permanently higher, and there's no going back without it feeling like a huge sacrifice. I watched this happen to a friend of mine who got a solid raise and had a brand new truck payment within 90 days. The raise just vanished into a bigger number of obligations. Meanwhile, when I started actually keeping real money for the first time, I kept living in that same cheap apartment, same beat-up Civic, for way longer than I needed to financially. Purely because I knew that gap between what I earned and what I spent was the entire engine. Every dollar of breathing room you create in steps 1 through 6 is worthless the second you let your spending creep up to fill it. This step isn't about deprivation forever, it's about staying disciplined on the way up, which is honestly harder than being disciplined when you have nothing. Because nobody feels sorry for you anymore, and there's no external pressure keeping you in check. That pressure has to come from you now. So if you remember nothing else from this video, here's the whole thing in one breath. Find your real number, kill your subscriptions with a hard rule, renegotiate your 3 biggest fixed costs every year, fix your biggest expense instead of your smallest. Automate the gap the moment it appears, spend on time instead of comfort where it actually pays you back, and don't let your lifestyle creep up the second you find room to breathe. Here's the big picture on why this actually matters beyond just feeling less stressed. Say you free up $1,000 a month and you just put it into a basic low-cost index fund instead of letting your spending swallow it. At a reasonable long-term average return, that's the difference between having close to nothing in 15 years and having a genuinely life-changing six-figure number sitting there, built entirely from money you already had and just stopped leaking out the bottom of the bucket. You didn't need a better job for that. You needed a smaller hole. One last thing before you go. Somebody's going to watch this whole video and then go buy a lottery ticket on the way home because money stuff is boring and this is faster. It's not faster. It's just a worse bet dressed up as a shortcut, and deep down you already know that. I'm not going to pretend any of this is easy, canceling subscriptions is easy, driving the ugly car for 2 more years when your friends are upgrading is not, and staying disciplined once the money actually starts showing up is the hardest part of the whole thing. But you can do this. I want to see you actually keep the money you earn instead of watching it disappear every month. We'll see you in the next one.